Om Sai Ram. Today I'm going to talk about Abdul Baba. Abdul Baba is a very interesting devotee of Baba, as he spent 30 years along with Baba and 35 years in Shirdi with the Sansthan after Baba's Mahasamadhi. He was born in the year 1871. He hailed from Nanded, that is Khandesh, on the banks of the river Tapti. Very little is known about his childhood or about his parents. However, one knows that he was left with his spiritual guru, Amir Uddin, and from there he came to Shirdi. Amir Uddin got a dream in which Baba appeared in the dream and asked him to send Abdul Baba to Shirdi. He also gave Amir Uddin 2 ripe mangoes. The dream was so real that when Amir Uddin woke up, he found 2 mangoes lying on his bed. These he gave to Abdul Baba and sent him off to Shirdi. Here we find that the Master has kept a promise that was given to Abdul Baba in the year 1320. In Shripad Shivallabh chapter 18, the Leela of Shankara Bhatt going to meet Shripada along with 2 gentlemen who he thinks are Brahmins. However, these are not Brahmins and they are Muslims. Then Shripada tells them, who were reluctant to go and take his darshan and to prostrate before him. He tells them that they are Muslims and they are doing a heinous act of killing cows as they eat beef. He also tells them the repercussions of these heinous acts. He tells them that these cows that were slaughtered for their pleasure of eating will come back as their children, mainly their sons, in the next births that would befall them. However, he blesses them and says that since you have managed to take my darshan, I will not allow you to touch my feet, nor will I give you water from my kamandalu, but you will have no dearth of food or clothing in your house. Now that you have been fortunate to take my darshan, you will come back again as Abdul Baba and Bade Baba when I come as Samartha Sadguru, Shirdi Sai Baba in the village of Sheladhi. And so it comes to pass that Baba remembers the promise and asks Amiruddin to send Abdul Baba to Shirdi. Abdul Baba does come with the 2 mangoes and he gives them to Baba. Baba is very happy to see him and welcomes him, saying, Mera kala kawa aa gaya. That is, the black crow of mine has come. There is a story of Baba lying in the chowdi, and one night it is rather dark and Baba hits the floor with the satka, and he tells Abdullah, who used to sleep in the room behind the chowdi, that there is some heinous creature there. Abdullah immediately brings a lantern and he looks around and doesn't find anything. But he and Mir Shakkar, who were there, realized what Baba is trying to say by his actions. So they bring the light a little closer and they find that there is a snake coiled up right near the pillow. This is one Leela that is given about Abdul Baba. The other Leela is about the black crow coming to pick the guinea worms in Dr. Pillai's foot. This is given in chapter 34 of the Charita. Dr. Pillai had a terrible guinea worm infection in his foot, and he could not bear the excruciating pain. He wished for death. It was so bad that he could not tolerate it even for a second more. Then he tells Dikshit to tell Baba to either relieve him of his pain or to transfer it into 10 janmas. Baba just asks Dikshit to get somebody to bring Pillai to the Dwarkamai. Pillai comes to the Dwarkamai and Baba makes him comfortable, gives him a bolster and tells him, "Why 10 janmas? We can work out this karma right now in this very janma in 10 days. And then he tells him, a black crow will come and peck at your foot and you will be okay. At that very moment, Abdul Baba had entered the sanctum sanctorium and he was going to tend to the ever-burning lamps. He wanted to pour oil in the lamps, and inadvertently he steps on Pillai's outstretched legs and squeezes out all the guinea worms. Dr. Pillai thinks that he's going to die from the pain. However, after a short while, he feels much better. And then Baba gives him the Udi, and no other treatment is given to him. He applies the Udi to the open wound and takes it internally. And lo, he becomes okay in 10 days. So again, the reference of Abdul Baba being called the Kawa is here. Abdul Baba was the first devotee that literally came to Shirdi. That is, before the affluent people from Mumbai and Pune had been flocking around. At that time, Baba himself would sustain himself by taking bhiksha, and whatever food was given in the bhiksha, whether it be good or bad, Baba survived on it. Abdullah also had to fend for himself. So he went out into the village and got bhiksha, and that is how he survived. There was no place for him to sleep. So he would sleep or retire at the night in the stable of Shamkaran. This stable is still present there. It is the room that is behind the Dwarkamai, and the Sansthan has named it Sham Sundar Hall. That used to be the stable of Shamkarna, who was Baba's favorite horse. He did all the menial work, that is, every morning he would take Baba's clothes and wash them in the rivulet at Rendibagh. He would clean the streets that Baba took on his procession to Lendibagh and where Baba walked around. He would pick up all the strewn garbage. He would take away the night soil, no matter how hard it was. He did his work without complaining one iota. In fact, Abdul Baba was the total picture or the epitome of Dasya Seva. He found no work degrading to do for his Guru, and he did that. Baba, on the other hand, looked after his welfare in the spiritual matters. He made him sit down and read the Quran, and oftentimes he would explain to Abdul Baba what was written in the Quran. He also told Abdul Baba to eat very little food and to sleep very little. and this Abdul Baba did. Another interesting thing that Abdul Baba did was, whatever came out of Baba's mouth, he wrote in a book, and he used the book later on as a prophecy, and he would prophesy to people who came to ask him about problems or difficulties in their lives. A wonderful deed is done by B.V. Kher, in which he has translated from Marathi and Modi the book that Abdul Baba wrote, or the book of prophecy or oracles. This is called Unraveling the Enigma, Shirdi Sai Baba in the Light of Sufism, and this is written by Marian Warren. And one can find this under the chapter of MS, or Messages from Sai Baba. There are some examples of which Abdul Baba used this book as a book of oracles. Once, when they were digging a well in Buttiwada, the water that came out was brackish. Abdul Baba consulted his book, and he advised them that if it was dug about 2 to 3 feet deeper, the water would be sweetened. So they did what was advised to them, and indeed the water that turned out was sweet. The other thing that happened was, a barrister called Mr. Gadgil came to Abdul Baba and asked him whether his only son, who had gone away to the United Kingdom, would come back to India at all. It had been years since he had seen his son. Abdul Baba prophesied that his son would return. And indeed, a few years later, his son did return to India. However, he was married to a British lady, and their children did come and meet the father. So, Abdul Baba's prophecy came out to be true. As Abdul Baba was growing in age, his mother was very concerned that he was a bachelor. And she came to Baba and she beseeched him to bless him so that he would get married. Once they went to their relative's house and they inquired if there was a suitable bride for Abdul Baba. However, the families all refused to give their daughter into marriage with a fakir. Then, out of the blue, Abdul Baba and his mother went to some relative's house, and there the father was extremely anxious and wanted his daughter to marry Abdullah. Thus, Abdul got married to Umran B, who was the second daughter of this relative, and they had a son together. Unfortunately, we do not know how Abdul Baba passed away. He passed away in 1954. Prior to that, he did some incredible service for Baba. He stayed in the room which is on the lady's side towards your right hand side. That is where the temple in charge sits. He was given that place as he was the person who looked after Baba's Samadhi and cleaned it and put a chadar on it. This duty he did. However, there was some misunderstanding between the Sansthan and Abdul Baba, and he was asked to vacate that room. Then Abdul Baba came to reside in the area that was Radha Krishna Mai's house, and that is now called Abdul Baba's cottage. If you go to Abdul Baba's cottage, you will find that it is like a museum. The photographs of Baba that are original are kept there. And there's somebody there to bless you with the peacock feathers, as they normally do in Sufism. The other thing that Abdul Baba says is that Baba gave him a chimta and a tamrail and a satka. These precious articles that were given to Abdul Baba by Baba can be seen in that cottage. Abdul Baba used the chimta to pass it over the devotees that came there and who complained of arthritis and various other diseases. And according to him, they were cured of their disease. The first Samadhi on your way to Lendibag is the Dargah of Abdul Baba. This is a typical Samadhi that is seen in Sufism. It is a Samadhi that has a mound on it. It is a common belief that these awliyas are resting there, and when the day of Qayamat comes, these awliyas will come out and give judgment to their devotees. Thus, the Samadhi is not a flat, sealed Samadhi as the Hindu Samadhis are. It also has an enclosement around it. If you enter the Dargah of Abdul Baba, there is always a caretaker there who blesses you with the peacock wings and would answer any question that you have about Abdul Baba or the services that he did or about the Dargah itself. The other thing that the descendants do is every day at 10 o'clock, they along with the villagers go to Baba's Samadhi and they place a chadar or a galif on it and they decorate it as Abdul Baba did with wild, fragrant flowers. This is a daily ritual and the devotees can also accompany them. The other thing that the descendants do is to perform the festival of Urus. This is on Ram Navami Day, and it's a beautiful ceremony that is taken around the village. There is a canopy. The canopy is a galif that is attached to 4 thin bamboo posts with a panja on top of it, and underneath the canopy there are devotees who are carrying gifts. There is a chadar for Baba. There is another platter with a chadar for Abdul Baba. There is sweets, savories, fruits, and various delectable things. They go in procession, and a person leads the procession by first sanctifying the way by waving a chalice of loban. Then they go to Baba's Samadhi and they offer the gifts to Baba. Then the procession comes to Abdul Baba's Samadhi or Dargah and offers gifts there. Then the procession goes to the Dwarkamai and they apply the panja on the nimbar. What they do is they have scraping of sandalwood, they mix it with attar and other perfumes, and they lay the hand in it and they place the panja on the nimbar. This is the sandal or sandal procession that takes place even today on every Ram Navami Day. Prior to Abdul Baba's passing away, his guru Amiruddin asked Abdullah to come back to Nanded. However, Abdul Baba refused to do so as he did not have permission from Baba, and he continued doing his seva in Shirdi till he passed away. Abdul Baba did some incredible work for Baba. He did not leave him at any point. He went wherever Baba went. In fact, he was the only person that was in the Lendibag when Baba went to Lendibag. The procession would stop outside the boundary of Lendibag, and it was Abdul Baba who was there taking care of the lamps. He would bring buckets of water to Baba, and Baba would throw it in all four directions. Abdul Baba also says that Baba sat with his back towards the wick of the lamp. That means Baba would sit towards the west and he'd throw water in four directions. Possibly he was calling Varun, who is the Lord of rain, and it is very essential for Shirdi to have rain. The other thing that Abdul Baba did was he would tend to the lamp. It has been ever burning since the time that Baba lit it. He would take about 20 or 30 chadars and tie them like a canopy, and then he would place the lamp in a pit and cover it with a tin sheet. Later, the Sansthan picked up the lamp and placed it in a container or an altar that is one can now see in Lendibag. These were some of the things that he did. Abdul Baba passed away peacefully in 1954. One does not know if he died of any illness. However, he most probably died because of old age. There are many things that one can learn from the life of Abdul Baba. He was summoned by Baba. He came to Shirdi, and with the meager resources, oftentimes going without food, not having a place to stay, he continued to stay with Baba. He wrote down everything that Baba said. How many of us do that? Baba tells us something, we put chits, we find that we don't want to do what Baba advises us to do. Then we follow our own plans and then get upset with Baba for it not working. The other thing is, the most important thing is that no service for your Guru is beneath you or is a menial job. He cleaned the streets of Shirdi every day without complaining one bit. In fact, he was eager to do this. The other things that he did was to obey what his master said. Baba advised him to eat very little and to sleep very little, and this he did. The other thing that is so great is that he wrote down everything that came out of Baba's mouth, and he used it as a book of prophecy or a book of oracles, and every word of it came out to be true. Thus, I will conclude the life of this wonderful devotee who was with Baba for 30 long years and continued staying in Shirdi for 35 years more and did not return to his previous guru, Amiruddin. Om Sai Ram.